Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Try or Die Garage. If you follow the channel or you've seen any of my posts on Facebook on old school Suzuki or Butchered Classics or any of the Katana forums, you will have seen that I posted a short clip of about 30 seconds of my engine running. Suffice to say, it wasn't a very happy clip. The engine had what sounded like a bit of a terminal knock. So very much a clang that I hadn't heard before. I'm used to buying and putting back on the road pretty old and shit bikes, so the cheapest that I can find on eBay basically, or Facebook Marketplace. So I'm used to engines that don't sound great, but I hadn't heard this sound before, so it was very much almost a clang. And my automatic reaction was that it was something on the bottom end, in other words something terminal, which would have been not only terminal for the engine but terminal for me. I'm pretty much out of money when it comes to this bike. I'm kind of in the assembly and finishing stage. I don't have any money to rebuild engines or repair engines, or even to buy a cheap replacement. So yeah, it's been from my point of view a worrying couple of weeks, given that I've probably buried about £6 in this bike so far, including the cost of the bike. But that's by far and away more money than I've ever spent in reality on a vehicle, let alone a bike which is essentially just a hobby, and in winter pretty much a fucking ornament. So the video today, I wanted to go through the bike and diagnose the problem. I'll give you a hint. I have already fixed the problem while I was fiddling with something, but I thought what I would do is I'd go through the list of things that had been suggested to me online, and then tell you what I actually did, and then show you what I did, and we can then listen to the bike. But what I first will do is I will show you the list of things that came up on the interwebs. So it doesn't matter if it was one of the forums or one of the Facebook groups, but basically I collected the 7 things that were repeated kind of over and over again, and I've roughly listed them in order of ease and potential cost. So I'll show you the list. So first on the list is exhaust. So some thought, and I even thought, it might be a loose exhaust joint, which is just amplifying any noise that there is in the engine. The second was the clutch, so a noisy clutch basket. The third, or maybe the fourth, the third was cam chain. But cam chain tends to be kind of a top end rattle kind of thing, and this sounded like a deep, sort of more clanging sound. Fourth was carbs, and to be fair, only 2 people out of probably 70 or 80 people that replied mentioned carbs. A few mentioned piston slap, which is what you get when there is, in highly engineered engines or high compression engines, there can be the rings and the pistons might be slightly undersized to accommodate large increases in heat, and therefore large increases in expansion of metal. So basically the piston slap occurs when the engine is cold and until it warms up in the actual bores and fits more snugly. Then the bottom 2 are basically what would be fucking terminal for me. and that's what I originally thought. So rod bearing, which could possibly be done without cracking the cases, I'm not sure, but crank bearing could definitely not be done without cracking the cases. So just to give you an idea of the sort of cost that I would be looking at if it was rod or crank bearings, even assuming that I took the engine apart and took it to an engineer and got them to repair and reassemble, you know, you'd be looking well in excess of £2,000 or £2,500. You know, and I could save for a year and I wouldn't save that amount of money. So a lot of anxiety. Yeah, but I've actually solved the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the camera. I will start the engine. It's actually cold, and it's freezing cold in this garage at the moment, so much for summer. And you can listen to the engine now, and what I will do is I will compare the two sound files side by side, so you can hear with knock and then without knock. So let me set up the camera and get going. Yeah, I thought what I'd do is I would do this sort of by hand. So one of the first things that I did was I've got a stethoscope, and I started the bike, and I basically used the stethoscope, top of each cylinder, middle of each cylinder, bottom of each cylinder, that side of the crank, the other side of the crank, clutch basket, and then underneath there the cam chain, and then at the back of the engine on the cam chain, and basically the knock couldn't really be identified in any specific place. So one thing that I could tell you was at the top of the engine was very quiet. So there was a slight rustling from the valves and a slight rustling from the cam chain. So it was really quiet. So it definitely wasn't valves and cam chain. You can also slightly slacken off the cam chain on that bike, on the bike, using that wheel there. And I just slightly did that, and there was no increase in sound, just a slight rustle. So basically that eliminated the whole cam chain and valve issue. I also pulled in the clutch, and it made absolutely no difference. I tightened up the clutch and pulled it in again, still made no difference at all to the sound. To the sound of the bike. So what I'm going to do is let me get the bike started up. It is cold, so bear with me. Sounds all right. So there's no loud knocking sound. Huh. What fresh hell is this? Now it doesn't seem to. Oh, it was running beautifully. Now it's all smoky. So, what a fuck up. So, the reason why the bike wouldn't start is because this morning I went to the garage and got me some fresh fuel. I've got diesel, and how the fuck I didn't notice it, I don't know. I was in a rush to get it. I just got BP Ultimate and filled up a 5 litre jug, came back, filled up the IV bottle, which was half full with normal fuel, started the bike ran, and then all of a sudden it stopped running. So I noticed when I was cleaning a bit of it up yesterday, I thought, fucking hell, this is greasy petrol. And then I smelt it, and here's the thing, I've got a diesel van and I haven't bought petrol since October last year when I got this bike, and I got a couple of litres that I put in the IV bottle. So I just, also when I got COVID, I lost my sense of smell and my sense of taste, and it's kind of come back, but not great. Anyway, bottom line is I'm a fucking lumpty. I put diesel in the bike so it wouldn't run. But now I got some petrol this morning and the bike runs. So the carbs are not brilliant, but that's kind of to be expected because they've just been manually balanced. There you go. Put the bike on. There's no knock. So, bike runs, and the knock has gone, but clearly the carbs are not great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance them properly. I bought a cheap and cheerful kit off eBay for like £35. I've never balanced carbs using the gauges, but it doesn't look like it's difficult. Basically, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up. So I'm going to put it on pause, set it up, and then we'll go through the balancing. Cheers. Right, so I have set the gauges up. So basically, if you have a look down on each manifold has got, at least on this bike, has got a little bolt hole where I think it's an M5 bolt goes in there, and in the kit that I got, there's a variety of extensions that you can screw in there. So these kind of stick out sideways like that. They seem reasonably well made. So I don't know, this is the first time I'm doing this, but basically I've fitted this up so the gauges are up. That one's not quite sitting at 0, but the bike had to be at running temperature, and it was. So I think what I'm actually going to do is, you can see there's a couple of holes in the top of this. I think what I'm going to do is maybe get a bit of wire or something and then just hang it up, because I have a feeling that it's going to fall off the handlebars. Or what I'll actually do, hang on, that's quicker, is let me get a couple of zip ties. Right, yeah, so I've just put a couple of zip ties that'll keep that steady. I've got my bottle ready. Let me now just, I tell you what, close the garage door. So apparently the bike is already warm and already at temperature. I've got it idling as low as I possibly can. Next thing is I've actually got to loosen up. There are some nuts. So there are 3 little screws. So that one there, and then there's one in the middle, and then one on the other side. So this one is the carbs on cylinders 3 and 4, and the screw on the other side is the screw for the carbs on 1 and 2, and then the one in the middle is what balances either side. I just need to loosen up the nuts on that so that I can adjust them as we go along. So let me just do that, and I will set up the camera and we can carry on. Right, so let's give this a go, see what happens. Let the vacuum flow, I can adjust it, and that will kind of stabilize the needles. So I don't know, let me have another go. Open the garage before I die. Carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide poisoning. You can't really see that because of the backlight now. Will it work from here? I don't know. Sort of. So the gauges are all zeroed. Let's put it on. Let's press play. Oh. Basically it's supposed to be either here, I'm guessing, or dead straight. So basically they're all basically sitting identical on the gauges, so that would indicate at least that the carbs are balanced. But where they're kind of sitting is there's a little red thing, and it says there late valve timing or leaky intake. Doubt that there's every single one of them has got a leaky intake. But they're all basically sitting in an identical place. They're all sitting in an identical place, but it would indicate on the gauge that the timing is out. So that means that I've got to take the head off, not the head, the cam cover off, and check the timing. Yeah, check the timing. It could be that the chain has skipped a tooth, but I think that's a video for another day. So thanks for watching Try or Die and watching me fumble my way through trying to sort this bike out. On the plus side, it seems to be running okay. The knock has completely gone. There's just a light hiss or rattle from the top. It's not severe. It sounds pretty much like every early or mid 80s Jap bike that I've had, at least every Suzuki and Yamaha, which is the bikes that I've had. So I'm going to say that that's kind of a win. I've solved the knocking problem. The carbs appear balanced, albeit they're not where they should be. So that would indicate that according to the dial and the warning on the dial, that's got something to do with ignition timing. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Share it with your mates, and until next time, cheers.